Hey, Cam, how's it going, man?
I am doing good, Mitch. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's
Good.
Saturday morning.
Indeed.
It's Halloween. Happy Halloween, sir.
Happy Halloween to you. Are you dressing up?
No, I haven't dressed up in. I can't remember how long it's been since I've dressed up.
Well, I haven't dressed up since Wednesday, so
Since Wednesday? All right, well, that's cool.
yes. I had we had a Halloween party at youth group. And so I was Batman, but
Hmm.
my outfit was a 2.5 foot by 1 foot tall Batman logo pinata
Mm-hmm.
and some black fabric for a cape. And so it was like Flava Flav meets Batman, really, because I had this giant thing hanging from my neck. It was funny, but it was quite cumbersome to carry around all night.
Do you have pictures we can put in the show notes?
No, I don't. I have pictures of the students and the other leaders, but not myself. See, I'm always behind the camera, Mitch.
Oh, right on. Yeah, that's smart.
So we have three. This I'll stop after this, but we have three college girls that help at youth group, and you've seen Toy Story, right?
Yeah,
you remember
been a while, but yeah,
the toy soldiers,
Mhm.
little green army men.
Yeah,
the three of them all dressed up as three army men from Toy Story, and it was probably one of the best costume combos I've ever seen. Like they had binoculars, they had like little walkie-talkies, they had like boards for their feet, so they had to waddle like they were actual army men. Like the commitment was 100%. It was
nice.
It was super funny. Well done. So, but yes, happy Halloween.
And you obviously you observe Halloween, not all Christians do.
I observe the fun of it. Yeah. Like I don't see the harm in wearing silly costumes and getting candy. Now this year, not getting candy for me or my child because, for obvious reasons, but yeah, like for the fun side of it, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah.
Wear a silly costume, have some fun, bob for apples, whatever. Like, enjoy the fact that everyone decides today is the one day it's okay for everyone to dress silly. Because if I did it on, I don't know, November 5th, everyone would think I was a wacko.
Yeah.
But it's okay on this one day. So just embrace it. Yeah. Now, all the other stuff that, whatever. Like,
yeah, I mean, you can really go down a rabbit hole as far as like how it got started and all the
and you can do the same thing with Christmas though, and all of the historical ties that Christmas has to like old school Yule stuff and all of the pagan things tied to that. So it's just like, what?
And I've gone to churches and I've been with ministries that did that, and so I don't know. I don't really do much myself, but I don't think badly of anybody who does. It's just not me. It's not what I do. But I usually when work wants to do a costume contest and they try and shame me for not dressing up, I usually tell them I am dressed up. I'm dressed up like me. The best costume ever.
Can't buy it in stores. One of a kind.
Right. I never win the costume contest, oddly, but I've got some CarPlay follow-up for you.
Tell me.
So the week that you were off, I talked a little bit about my experience with CarPlay, and one of my frustrations with CarPlay is that you remember that it has that little like tiled interface. You can go to this little tiled interface where it has a little map and, and then it's got like 3 little sections off to the side. Well, it drives me crazy that the bottom tile on the right-hand side was your calendar. Why do I need a calendar while I'm driving? I mean, I guess I can understand somebody who might have appointments or something like that. I see that there may be people that would find it useful. I don't find it useful. I actually find it more useful to have, like, when the calendar's not there, like at the end of the day, I was noticing that calendar would disappear and the other 2 tiles would get larger. So what's in those other 2 tiles on the right-hand side is the top one is your directions, your turn-by-turn directions. and the middle one is your audio player. So you have access right away to, if you're listening, like when I'm driving home from work, I'm usually listening to a book on Audible, or I'm listening to Overcast or something like that, where I'll have that little player off to the side and I can pause and, do whatever I want. But when there's three things on the right side, all you have is the album artwork, a play pause button, and then a skip ahead button. That's all that's there. So there's no real information there. I mean, you do have controls, but you don't have any real information. But when they expand into the larger tile, there's actually a little progress bar, so you can see, how far through the audio you are. And then you have a skip forward and skip backwards buttons and your play pause button. So there's more stuff in the tile to interact with if you need to. So I was racking my brain. How do I hack this to make this so that the calendar never shows up? Well, there's no settings that you can change. There's nothing to change that. You have no control over that. So I did something that fixed it. I use Fantastical for my calendar. I don't use the Apple Calendar app. So I went into the Apple Calendar app and I unchecked all of the calendars that I have in the calendar app so that there's no calendar showing in the calendar app. Well, it took a day or two to update because there must be some kind of like it caches like your next day or two in CarPlay or something like that. There's got to be something because they showed up for the next day or two. After that, I haven't seen the calendar in that interface since. So if there's anybody out there that's frustrated with that as I am, that's the hack around for it. Is just use a different calendar app and then just uncheck all your calendars so you don't see any calendars in the Apple Calendar app.
That's clever, first of all. I don't want to skip over that, but why a day or two? Just that seems odd. And maybe CarPlay just doesn't. It only updates on a set. But I mean, you use your car every day most of the time, right? That's just the delay is odd to me.
I just think they must be great, but they must be caching it to just make the data transfer and stuff a little bit easier or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's a reason, I'm sure, but now after a day or two of having all those calendars unchecked, I haven't seen a calendar appointment in there since. So now if I could just figure out how to get rid of the stupid phone icon with you have recent phone calls that you've missed thing, I would love that, but because that's sitting on my home screen and you can go into the phone app on CarPlay and actually look at your recents and look at your voice calls or your voicemails and listen to your voicemails, but that little red dot never disappears. So excuse me. So now if I can fix that,
red dot never disappears.
Okay. Oh, it's driving me crazy. And there's a little dock on the left-hand side that shows like your navigation app and then your music app and then the most recent other app that you used. And the phone app happens to be the most recent other app that I've used. So that stupid little green icon that I never have visible on my phone, by the way, is sitting, because I never call anybody. Who cares? But that little green icon is sitting over to the side with a little red dot up in the corner. It's driving me up a wall. So I guess maybe I have to go into the settings app to put the settings thing back in here. I don't know. Am I opinionated? Yeah, a wee bit.
It's a good thing you have a microphone then.
Yeah, you know what? That's what makes our show fun. We have opinions.
Indeed.
So
can I talk to you about light mode and dark mode for a second?
Sure can.
So I don't know about you, but I've had dark mode on permanently since it became an option. So
pretty much me too, yeah.
Over a year. And I was playing, with my home screens and my widgets and, background colors and, wallpapers and this, that, and the other thing. And then just for some reason, like, I don't know, last weekend, it's like, I wonder what it would look like if I turned a light mode on. I just had like that, I haven't had it turned on in over a year, and I turned it on and I was like blown away. I was like, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like. Like it was like I had a brand new phone in my hands because I had completely forgotten what non-dark mode iOS looked like, what an iPhone felt like, what app icons looked like what app interfaces look like, what Safari's interface looked like when it was not in dark mode. And so I turned light mode on and I spent like legit like an hour just opening everything and scrolling through my whole phone and trying to see how much of a difference light mode made versus dark mode. And my widgets, so I've had it turned on for the last week, and I feel like I have like a brand new phone. And I know it's something silly, right? It's just light mode versus dark mode, but I've become so accustomed. I mean, a full year of just dark mode and nothing else. So I have light mode turned on during the day, and then I have it when the sun sets, it auto flips to dark mode for nighttime. But man, for whatever it's worth, I'm loving having light mode on during the day because everything is brighter and fresher. And the contrast, for whatever reason, like when I read stuff in dark mode, like if I'm reading sports articles or, something on the internet in dark mode, and the website supports it. So, black background with white text on it. If I'm reading for more than a couple of minutes and I turn my phone off, I can still see the white lines burned into my retinas, which is not great. But if I'm reading with a white background and black text, that doesn't happen. So it's actually really, I think it's helping me in that regard, perhaps not go blind just yet. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about it was I rediscovered light mode and I think it's wonderful and enjoyable.
So occasionally I do that, or I'll flip, even if it's just an app, from dark mode to light mode or something like that. My experience is it feels like somebody's scraping sandpaper on my eyes. Like that light just hits my eyes, and I can't handle it.
How bright do you have your display on though? I keep my display pretty low.
That might be part of it, but
like my screen, unless I'm outside in bright sunlight, my screen never goes past 40% brightness.
There's a way to switch that.
Because yeah, you're right. If it's cranked, it hurts, right? But yeah, mine's usually around like 30 or 40% brightness, unless I'm outside. And then at nighttime, obviously, I just have it like all the way down.
So that's not terrible. I'm looking at settings. That's not terrible, but I think I still prefer it in dark mode.
That's fine. You're allowed to have your opinion. I just was curious because you said sandpaper on the eyeballs. And I was like, well, that's a bit aggressive. Well, that doesn't feel good.
It might be that it was later at night that I was doing that too.
Yeah. And like I said, mine flips to dark mode at sunset. And now sunset is like, 5:45. So, and we have daylight savings tonight. So I think that means we fall back an hour, whatever that. I always forget. Do we gain an hour of sleep tonight, or do we lose one? We gain one, right?
Fall back. Yeah, we gain an hour.
Oh, best night of the year, man! A free extra hour of sleep. Let's go,
dude. That's weird seeing Fantastical with a white background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took me a minute to get used to it, but I quite enjoy light mode.
Then it's dark mode inside the app, so I'm sure there's a setting that I can.
Yeah, that's a setting inside the app that you can change. I have it just. But I also I got one of Federico's shortcuts, which I can if I remember, Mitch, help me remember. We can put a link to it in the show notes. It's called Wall Creator, and it's a shortcut that figures out what device it's running on, and then generates background wallpapers specific for that device. And you can do random colors, random gradients, random direction of gradients, or you can input hex values. And so I just do the random generator. And so like I have this really nice like blue to green gradient, and I have a bunch of them saved, and I just like change them each day. And it's just nice to have that really subtle gradient of color to help the icons and the widgets kind of pop and look lovely. So we can put a link to that in the show note. It's a free shortcut that he always provides incredible shortcuts, and I'm halfway through his review. That's a bit of follow up too. I've been working on it for the past week, and I'm only halfway through it.
Well, it's like 600 pages, isn't it?
It's 500 or 600. It's 23 web pages, whatever that's equivalent to in printable pages. But yeah, it's an endeavor. But
Well,
It's good.
I'll give you some follow up on that too. Is I did go up to Mac Stories and throw $5 at them and downloaded that stuff. So
Oh, did you get the
I
tips
thought,
and tricks book too?
yeah, I downloaded everything and including the wallpapers and everything too. So
I used to be a Club Mac Stories member. Right now, I'm a Relay FM member with that $5. I kind of go back and forth between the two of them. I'll do like 6 months here, and then I'll do 6 months there. And I mean, it's funny is my Relay FM membership is for Connected, so he's getting my money either way because he's one of the hosts of that show.
And see, yeah. I'm a Upgrade Plus member because
you're a Snell and Hurley guy.
Yeah, I like that show. I like both the shows. They're both of the shows are amazing, but they're good in their own ways.
Yeah.
So,
do you listen to Cortex at all?
No, I did, but I haven't in a long time.
Connected and Cortex are my two favorite Relay shows.
Yeah. I got into podcasting or listening to podcasts with the Twit network.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually on the verge of saying the only one I listen to anymore is MacBreak Weekly. And I'm almost on the verge of not listening to that one anymore because it just borderlining on it. I like Andy though.
Yeah, Andy Naka's fun.
Yeah, it's one of those that I've listened to since the day I started listening to podcasts. So it's a little hard for me to give it up. It was hard to give up the This Week in Tech as well, but now that because I just don't have enough hours in the week, it's not that I have any major issue against them. It's just I really enjoy the Relay shows, and there's a couple other shows I listen to that I really enjoy. That it's almost like MacBreak kind of is starting to get on the periphery of the podcasts that I enjoy. So. And you've ruined Accidental Tech Podcast for me, by the way, too. I don't know if I've told you that. So
no,
I think we talked off the air about that one. So yeah, I think we talked off the air about that one. But yeah, I still enjoy it, but I noticed your issues with it, and now they bug me a little bit more than they did before. So anyway. We were going to talk about widgets and home screens today. I don't know where you want to start with this, but I've got some widgets that I'll talk about. I don't know if there's some widgets that you have or some apps that have widgets that you would like to talk about.
Sure.
I'll let you lead the discussion here because it was your topic.
It was my topic. Well, I love home screens and widgets.
Mm-hmm.
I used to write about them on my website like a year and a half ago because I was chasing. This is pre iOS 13, so like iOS 12 days. I was chasing peak home screen, Mitch. I was getting there. I had some crazy stuff going on. I think I showed you some pictures of it where like I had blank app icons, clear ones to push my apps toward the bottom, and was running shortcuts for everything and all of that. So I'll take some screenshots and we can put, pictures of what I'm running and what Mitch is running just for context. So it's easier to see, as we talk about it. But right now I have on my home screen, I've got a Smart Stack at the top, the medium size widget. So the rectangle that, takes up 2 rows. I've got Fantastical, and then I've got 3 shortcut groups. I have 4 shortcut groups actually. So I've got Fantastical. The first shortcut group controls my lights in my TV through the home app. So I've got turn all the lights on, turn all the lights off, turn all the lights off, turn the TV on, and open it to YouTube TV. So it does all of that in one, which is nice. And then I've got one called Let's Party, which turns the lights on fun colors and plays a selected playlist in Apple Music. The next stack, I've got Mac Stories RSS, Today's Schedule and Fantastical, NPR NewsHour plays and podcasts. And then I have Add-a-Task to OmniFocus, but that was there before the widgets came out. So we'll talk about that in a second. And then I've got one that's all timery controls for a toggle for different selected ones. And again, that was because I had that in there before the widget came out. And then I've got audio controls for Overcast. I've got a shortcut that plays Overcast, that pauses it, that sends the audio to my Sonos speakers in my living room. So I can just tap on that when I'm listening to music or listening to Audible or listening to Overcast. No matter what, I just tap a button and it auto shoots the music to the Sonos speakers. And then I have an Overcast Master one, which lets me select podcasts from a list. So I can just tap on that. It shows me a list. I click on it. It plays the latest episode of that show, all from the home screen. So some of that needs to get cleaned up. I can probably actually get rid of quite a few of those now because of the widgets. I then have a Widgetsmith photo album widget, a small one, and it just cycles through my favorites. So every time I, switch to that screen, or like every few minutes, there's just a new picture from my favorites, which is good. A lot of them are of my daughter, because she's adorable. So I get to see her when she was like 3 months old versus, she's almost 4 now. So I kind of it's just nice to have those memories. And then I have a couple stupid ones of me that make me laugh. Like every once in a while, just be a picture of me like, just making a really stupid face. And it makes me chuckle because I'm simple.
That's okay. Simple is fine.
Yeah. Would you have chosen a different word? Don't say it, Mitch.
I didn't say anything. I wasn't thinking anything.
Yeah, sure. All right. Then I've got a couple folders. And then I'm running shortcut icons for the bottom 2 rows in my dock that open stuff like the Photos app, messages, Roam Research, my Bible, Basecamp, IA Writer, Spark Camera, or the actual standard camera app too, then like Safari. I've got a whole listen shortcut where I can tap on it and it's like, do you want to listen to Apple Music? Do you want to listen to podcasts? Or do you want to listen to Audible? And it's this whole thing, and then OmniFocus and shortcuts, of course. And then on the second page, I have like a dashboard of widgets, which is mostly, there's the OmniFocus forecast widget, the OmniFocus inbox widget, the new task widget for OmniFocus.
Whoa, wait, what?
And then
OmniFocus has widgets now?
The test flight beta does.
Okay.
I told you about this like in previous episodes, bro.
Not the widgets. I've been waiting so patiently for their widgets.
No, I'm pretty sure I said I had OmniFocus widgets because I was on the test flight. Just ask them.
You saying that? Okay, I'll have to ask.
Just ask them. They're nice.
I want to be on the test flight.
But it's because I'm still running the beta on my phone for 14.2. But the reason I got on the test flight beta for OmniFocus was because I was running the iOS 14 beta, and the current public build for OmniFocus was breaking, and so I sent in like if OmniFocus crashes, there's like a whole report structure they have built into the app, and I sent it in, and he replied, he's like, "Hey, you need to be on the test flight beta if you're running the iOS beta. So here's a link to it. Download it and it'll solve your problems." So it was customer support that actually got me on the test flight. It wasn't because I went looking for it, which was actually really nice of them because they understood the issue and they solved the problem immediately, which was great. But then I have just have a Timery widget there. And then on my today screen, I've got 3 Carrot Weather widgets. Today's forecast, the hourly forecast, and then like the next couple of days forecast, which, this time of year in the part of the country we live, Mitch, it could be snowing one day and 70 the next day this time of year. Just depends on which way the wind's blowing. So it's important to know. I've got my Robinhood investment widget so I can see how my stocks are doing. A couple timers, Apple News, music, and then batteries. So I'm still not necessarily content. And even just reviewing this, I can see some ways to improve, to simplify that. But I'm still, each day I open like my widgets menu and see like if there's anything new, if there's stuff that I could use that I'm not using. So that's where I'm at right now with my widgets in my home screen. I'm like 80% happy with it, but yeah, we can link to some of my old articles on home screens so you can tell, or so you can see how ridiculously I'm super into trying to make this work the best that I can. Also, I just remembered under my Widgetsmith as a smart stack too, I've got my activity rings for fitness, and then I've got a music widget as well, so I can see what I recently played music was. So that's my phone. Still looking for improvements. Wish that I could move the app library to not have to be all the way at the right. There should be a way to invoke the app library from anywhere in the phone, like swiping up. That would be nice. I suppose you could just swipe down and search, but that's not as nice as just being able to swipe up and tap on an app. Thought for future iOS versions, I guess. Anyways, that's enough about my phone, Mitch. Tell me about your widgets and your home screens. I'm curious.
Hold on, I'm joining the OmniFocus test flight.
Welcome to the future.
Yeah, that was actually insanely easy to do.
What'd you have to do?
Basically, I just went to their test flight page and just tapped on a link. Apparently, it's open to the public.
Nice.
So that's pretty crazy. I think I've done their test flight before. But start testing. I'm sorry, I'm totally distracted right now.
You're good.
All right. Let's see. Do I have widgets now?
You may have to open the app. Sometimes the widgets don't automatically show up. You have to open the app for it to tell the system that it has widgets.
Oh no, I have widgets now.
Oh, woohoo!
All right, so I'm gonna have to play with that later because I will spend the whole show playing with this otherwise. All right, that's the one app that I've been missing widgets for.
Yeah, I was previously using a Widgetpack widget, which is Widgetpack is an app that lets you use shortcuts as widgets, but it doesn't auto refresh. You have to run the shortcut every time you want it to refresh in the background. So it was a not great hack to get it to work, and then I got on the test flight and it's much better. So yeah, enjoy that, Mitch, because they have all sorts of options, right? So like I said, I have forecast, I have inbox, and then I have create new. And there's other options you have as well. So have fun. It's gonna be good for you.
Yeah, I just had to refill my coffee, so
I saw that's quite the carafe you have.
Yeah, Hastings Collective. I believe it's hastingscollective.com. They sell, and this is not an ad, but they sell some of the coolest carafes, really nice carafes on their website. So I own 3 of them. So you have to have a separate one for tea because tea makes everything taste like tea. So,
well, and coffee makes everything taste like coffee. They're opinionated beverages, Mitch.
Yeah, and I only have 3 because the first one I had for coffee I dropped in the church parking lot and broke. So the handle broke off. Not happy about that, but I got a new one. I take this to church with me every Sunday, full of coffee. I work in the sound booth, so I can hide it back there with me, and nobody's the wiser. So
yeah, nothing like bringing a giant jug of liquid next to all the expensive electronics.
Everything's got to cover.
Go wrong.
Everything's got to cover. That's my rule. Any beverages in the sound booth have to have a cover. Coffee. Kirkland Sumatra, if you were curious. From Costco. Big bag. I got a huge bag of whole bean coffee from Sumatra. And it's my favorite. So, All right. Widgets. My front screen or my front home screen. I've got 2 home screens. And I have a stack. I use stacks a lot, especially for widgets or for apps that have multiple widgets, because like my top widget on my front screen is Carrot Weather, and so the one that I always have up here, and I turn off the whole smart rotation. Yeah, I turn off the smart rotation because I hate it. But I always have the weather right at the top of the screen. Okay, get away. So, and then when I swipe up, I have the radar map, which is only available because I paid for the the highest tier of their thing, of their
Wait,
subscription.
show me that one more time. You can have a radar map on your widget if you're tier
Yep.
3 or whatever.
Yep. And it
Oh,
updates
look at that.
pretty frequently. So yeah. And when you tap it, it actually takes you directly to the radar. So
Smart. Those carrot weather team, like they
knock it out of the park. Yeah.
Yeah. They're so good.
Yeah. Also in that smart stack, I'm really excited about my Nashville trip, which I talked about last episode. So I have a countdown timer for that. So I got to check in on that every once in a while. 24 days and 13 hours, if you were curious. And I have a widget that I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it in the stack here, but it's just like various information about the phone. And I just keep that buried because I don't really find it that useful. So, but Fantastical owns my Fantastical and Timery own the, like, if you go down to the next row, I've got 2 folders and 2 icons. Next to that, I've got the Fantastical small widget. So, and if you swipe through that, there's the regular time and day with just a little weather icon in the corner, because it was there, and I thought, well, it fills that spot. So, and then if you swipe up, you go to the day events, the events for the day, and then I've got the Timery widget in there to show me, what it has a couple of quick links for timers, and then right now it's showing me the timer that I have running. So, and then I have a little Widgetsmith timer, or a Widgetsmith widget down in the left hand corner at the bottom with just a album that I have that rotates through. So I like that. And then 4 more widgets in the corner. I'm sorry, not widgets, icons in the corner. So I don't do a lot of the stuff with the shortcuts that you do. But yeah, and on the second page, it's all about entertainment. So right at the top, I've got, have you used Soar, SOOR, for your music player?
I don't. I know Federico loves it. I just haven't. Like I'm call me a weirdo. I'm content with Apple Music. Like just its like I know there's probably tons of better options. I'm just so used to it at this point that I haven't even considered it an alternative. But yeah,
well,
tell me about it, because
I plunked down a little bit of money for it, and to be quite honest with you, the interface of Soar is okay. Like there's some things that I like better about it, but it's a little bit more customizable. So if you tend to play a lot of playlists, or you want to go to your recents a lot or something like that, you can kind of move that stuff up to the top of the list, where the music app is pretty opinionated about where you should go for stuff. So it's a little bit nicer that way. The reason I downloaded is I like the widget a lot better. So that widget that's right across the top there, I'm sure you've seen it in Federico's
it's
screenshots
much better
and stuff.
looking it's much better looking in the Apple Music. That pink, while a nice color, tends to break a lot of like what I'm going for visually. It's like, yikes. It's like, whoa. So the Soar has appealed to me in that way. And then doesn't it also have like really good like playlist generation, or
I haven't messed around with
specific playlists?
Yeah, I haven't messed around with like the mix, the mix stuff that they do in there. I think there's one called mix match or something like that it does. I haven't played around with that. I will tell you that the icons that are on the widget, there's a play icon and a skip forward, skip backward. There's access to like the next 2 items in your up next. Those are all live links. And I don't know how they're doing it, because that's not supposed to be possible. But you can tap the play button and it plays audio. It does pop the app open real quick and then close it right away. I've noticed that when you do that, so there must be like a little workaround that they're using to do that. But somehow they've really ingeniously made this basically a player, as opposed to just a widget showing you stuff. But they also have a favorites.
Well, now I'm more intrigued.
Hmm. They also have a favorites widget where you can put like 4 of your favorite like playlists or albums or whatever in to have quick access to those. So if you just want to tap on the album artwork and go straight to that playlist, you can do that. One thing that does bother me is that they have the word favorites right at the top of the widget and it's spelled with a U.
Ooh, they are British.
Yeah. So, not that I have anything against the way they spell it, but it doesn't look right to me as an American to have a U in there.
But you do.
I wish there was an option. I'll just say it that way. I wish there was an option to have it spelled more American.
The
and
developer's name is Tanmay Sanawane.
Hmm.
That's a great name.
That's fun.
Tanmay Sanawane. That's awesome.
I also have an Apple TV widget in there too for like basically it shows me the last 2 episodes of whatever show or movie that we have in our up next queue. So I've got Reader, which I'll talk a little bit about the new Reader 5 as well, but I have the Reader widget in there too, so it shows me, any of the new news that's popping up in my RSS feeds. And then down in the corner, and if I do post these screenshots with the episode, I am not going to have the photos widget on the screen. It should just be the Apple TV widget because the photos that pop up on my photos thing are really personal and fun for me, but I don't have permission from everybody to share those. So yeah, just it'll just be filled with like the Apple TV logo or the Apple TV widget.
Yeah, but again, like redacted on my. Sorry, go ahead.
But my basic structure and the way that I really like doing this is to have a medium widget at the top. Then as you go down, there's 2 folders, two icons, and the widget to the right of that. And then at the bottom, have a widget on the left with 4 more icons. So I think that it's visually pleasing for me. It keeps everything kind of nice and sorted. And so if you see the screenshots there, you'll see what I mean is, I can kind of group my widgets together because I've got 4 widgets for things that I listen to regularly. Although I do have Apple Music and Sork next to each other. So that'll probably change at some point. But then Overcast and Audible are down at the bottom. So, and then of course the app library after that. So do you use any widgets in the Today View?
Yeah, that's where I've got my 3 Carat weather ones, and then I've got
right, you said
my Robinhood. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got my Robinhood investment widget, and then I've got like Apple News, just like the 2 headlines. And then underneath that, I've got batteries and music, which is kind of redundant to have the music on there. So this was good to review because I realized I have a couple of redundancies in my widgets that I can clean up.
Yeah, I do too, but I kind of have them on purpose because I've got Timery in there, and I've got the large widget for Carat Weather. I've got a large forecast widget in there. I've got the large Fantastical widget in there. Just because I like the large widgets because of all the information that are on them, but it just seems like such a waste to put those on the home screen. Just because they take up so much space.
Yeah, that's that. I don't have a single large widget on my phone because they're just so big.
Yeah. So that's where I relegate those as to the Today View.
Makes sense.
So I mentioned Reader 5. So that came out this last week. Have you ever used Reader?
I think I used it like when Reader 3, maybe just a really long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I haven't used it in quite a while.
So I've used Reader pretty much since they first came out with it. I had heard, I think it was Merlin Mann talk about Reader at one point, and I thought, hey, you know what? I really like that. And I love RSS feeds, being able to customize the news that I'm looking at every day. And I had kind of gotten away from using it for a long time because it felt like another inbox to clear. And I realized that there was a couple of feeds that I was subscribed to that were just dumping a whole bunch of garbage into my feed. So once I clean that up a little bit, it actually is not too bad. I'm still on the fence. I like the content that I'm getting from iMore, but there's a lot of stuff that they have in their feed that I don't care about. They talk a lot about Animal Crossing and a lot about Pokemon and all this stuff, and I don't do any of that. So
Got
um
got to get the clicks.
yeah, so I just end up going through my feed going, okay. And if they had a feed that didn't have that stuff in it, I would be more than happy to subscribe to it. But they don't. They just have the one main feed. But some of the stuff that I like about the new reader, they did change it so now you can set up your own um, iCloud based RSS. So you don't have to depend on, like, I was using Feeder before, or Feedly. I'm sorry, I was using Feedly before for my RSS feeds, and so I was able to get rid of that and actually set up my own feeds that were backed up on iCloud. And I think the sharing features are far more useful now. And the read later, I've used that quite a bit, and that's been a lot nicer to use than some of the older versions. I don't know why. It just seems like it's been a little bit nicer to use. Trying to remember exactly what. Yeah, one thing I did really like is that if you're reading an article on Safari, there is an extension that says read later with reader. So it throws it right into reader for you. So there's no need to have like Instapaper or another place to save the articles that you want to read. So the other day I was doing some research on foot pain because I've been having some foot pain at work, and I came across an article and was like, well, I don't want to lose this article. And I don't always like to throw that into read later in Safari because I never go back and read stuff in Safari. But I do in Reader. So I was able to hit read later with Reader, and it popped it over into my read later list. And so now I can go back and read that as when I have the time to do that. So I really like some of the changes that they've made in Reader 5, and it visually it looks nicer. So yeah, I like it.
Cool.
Now, have you tried Clear Screen? This is a widget that I sent you a link to the other day.
Ago. Yeah, and this is reminiscent of what I used to do with my home screens, but had to hack with colored icons that match the backgrounds, launching shortcuts that weren't there to force my icons where I wanted them to. So it seems like an evolution of that, but I haven't actually tried it because I don't need it anymore. But it does look, if you want to have some pretty cool layouts, it looks like a better way to do what I was doing back in the day. That took a lot of manual setup, and if you wanted to change anything, you had to delete or add individual icons that matched your back. It was a pain in the butt. So this seems like a much better solution.
So that's what I thought. And I started playing with it a little bit. And what it does is it's not creating a transparent widget. What it's doing is it's using your background. So you tell it what wallpaper you're using, and then it generates a widget that is just your background color. And you can put a clock in there if you want to, but what it's designed to do is just basically use your background, your wallpaper, and then it's just disappears into the background because it matches it, which doesn't work for my phone for some reason. So I tell it what the background is, and it's just 3 colors in the background that are stacked kind of diagonally, and it couldn't do anything with that. It basically it's like, oh yeah, okay, here's your image, and then you put the widget on the screen, and it wasn't set right on the on the background to basically look transparent. It was actually, the lines were not lined up right, and it didn't work. So I don't know. It's something worth trying, as long as it doesn't cost anything to do it. It's something worth trying. I did run across another app that, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Icon Board. This one I think costs a couple of dollars, but I have not dived into it real heavily yet, or dove into it. English is hard. But Icon Board Icon Board has the ability for you to actually generate custom home screens, much like you do and have done in the past, where you can set up your icons in any shape or whatever you want to on the screen. And so I think that's interesting. So do you try looking it up at all to see what it does?
Or not yet. I probably will after the show.
Okay. But Icon Board
I bought Soar. That's what I'm playing with right now.
All right. Yeah. All right. So it's always fun doing podcasts when when we're not paying attention.
I'm paying attention.
I'm guilty of it too.
Very much paying attention. I'm very much paying attention, Mitch. Come on, give me some credit.
Yeah. So any other widgets that you find remarkable or interesting, at least?
Not really. I mean, Timery is great for obvious reasons, because you can see a list of what timers you have, what's running, what's your total for the day, that sort of stuff. I like that. But it's early days still. It's very much early days. So the fact that I have a bunch that I can run is nice, and I'm sure my home screen and subsequent home screens will evolve over time. But like I said, I'm 80% happy with mine now. So I'll keep messing with it and see what's coming up.
So I am going to set my dark mode light and dark mode to automatic for a while and see if I can deal with that or not. Because the light is not actually bothering me a whole lot right now. So we'll see. It's interesting. We'll have fun with it. So maybe next episode we can follow up and I can tell you how I rage quit it or something. But so
I'm all for it.
I mentioned the app that I use for a countdown timer for events coming up and stuff like that. I just wanted to say that one's called Days, Days. And I think it's a beautiful timer. And I discovered it because Jaws, is it Greg Joswiak, posted he had a timer in Days for the Apple event. I think it was the event for the iPhone, maybe. And he posted a screenshot on Twitter showing that widget. And so I looked, and of course it has the name of the widget underneath it, which, by the way, I wish there was an option to turn that off. Because
yes. My gosh, Mitch, preach, brother. It's so dumb.
By the way, it's a great little app for setting up timers. So you can put a custom background in and everything. So I have a picture of Nashville. Yeah, that's the one. So I have a picture of Nashville behind my timer. So if you can see that on the screen there. Kind of nice.
Yeah, this looks really nice, Mitch. Good find. Thanks, really Jaws.
Nice. Yeah. So
fan of the show, Joswiak.
Yeah, the fan of the show that doesn't know it exists. So we'll just say friend of the show. Yeah. Yes. But we're friends with him. He doesn't know we exist. But yeah, you're right. You're right. We don't know, but it's pretty certain.
The internet is the magical place.
It is a magical place. So, Jaws, if you're listening, send me an email, or tweet. But yeah, the names underneath the widgets, that's one thing that really kills ClearSpace for me too. If I could get it working properly, is that you can have all that space and everything, but then it says right underneath the thing, ClearSpace. And that would drive me crazy. So
yeah, that's pretty dumb.
you can have a clear widget, but it's going to still tell you the app that you use to make the clear widget. So, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that's not good.
I hope at some point there's an option in the settings to actually turn off all of the names under apps. I would have no problem with that at all. Nice, clean visual that way.
Well, I mean, you can put blank characters for the names of shortcuts and the names of folders, which is why my home screen doesn't have anything underneath any of the icons or the folder icons, except for where my widgets are. And it just it you said sandpaper on your eyes. That's what it is to me. Like when I see only my widgets have the names that are there, it makes my skin crawl because it breaks it. It just breaks it visually. And it's a small little thing, but for people that are super, opinionated about this stuff, it bothers me deeply.
There should be a category in settings that's just for opinionated people. So you should have all your regular settings, and then way down at the bottom it should be for picky people here, and then it's just another set of settings that are just like little minor tweaks all over the operating system. So I'll call my people and get that started. So all right, well, macOS Big Sur still nothing. It's supposed to be coming.
There's got to be another event coming.
Yeah, I think that's pretty certain.
Well, there's going to be a November event. There's going to be.
Well, just the other day. Well, just the other day, Tim Cook said on their quarterly financial call that they've got more things to announce this year. So yeah, I think it's pretty certain that they're going to have another event.
Yeah, they've got Big Sur. They've got the Apple Silicon Mac. There's rumors about this little tile thing,
AirTags.
So they've got and there's supposed to be over ear like AirPods over the ear.
Yeah, I think they're being called AirPod Studios or something like that.
Yeah, so they've got stuff to.
And depending on who you listen to, the AirTags might be pushed off until March, or they could be announced in November. The AirPod Studios might be announced in March, which sounds more likely at this point. But it's also been rumored that they'd be announced in November as well. But I think what we will likely see in November is the Apple Silicon Macs, and macOS Big Sur, I think, will come out with that. But normally what I would say with any kind of macOS update is, you should be safe to update. They changed something in the software that is actually causing some issues for developers. So it is really important if you are looking to update to macOS Big Sur, check your important applications. I know Rogue Amoeba right now, they're making progress with their apps for macOS. But they're not all compatible yet. I think it was the audio capture. Let me look it up here real quick. The audio capture engine that they use for Airfoil and Audio Hijack and Loopback and Piezo and Sound Source, they are still working on getting that working with macOS Big Sur. So if you depend on any of those apps, you cannot update yet. I think Drobo was saying that, and I don't have a Drobo, but if anybody has a Drobo, the dashboard has not been updated for macOS Big Sur yet. So Drobo is telling people don't update yet. So there's a lot of there's something that they've changed deep in the OS that is causing some problems for some of these developers. So do not update unless you know those apps are working. So I can't update until Rogue Amoeba gets their stuff updated because I use Audio Hijack for a bunch of stuff. I use I use Sound Source pretty much as my volume on my Mac. So, if that's not working, I got to go back to using. I mean, not that it breaks the computer, but also Audio Hijack. To not be able to use Audio Hijack at all would be rough. So.
Yeah, it's Loopback saved my bacon the other day on a work Zoom call. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
So big fan of what they do.
They are doing God's work over there. I like it. Well, what's delighting you today, Cam?
Michigan football is back, baby. Let's go. Hail to the victors, Mitch.
All right.
I say that until we play that team in Ohio and they beat us by 35 points again. So right now I'm very optimistic. Talk to me in about 7 weeks and I'll be sad.
So I'm not a huge college football guy. Do you guys play the Badgers? Y'all?
Not every year because they're in the different division of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Which, don't be confused, has more than 10 teams. It has 14 because words have meanings.
Yep.
But yeah, so the Badgers are in the West Division of the Big Ten, and Michigan's in the East. So we don't play each other every year. We do play them this year, though.
Okay.
And I think, if my memory serves, I think the game is in Madison.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. But yeah, so no, Michigan walloped Minnesota last week, and it was in Minneapolis, and it was a top 25 showdown. And well, we have 4 brand new offensive linemen, a whole slew of young freshmen and sophomore receivers, and we got like 4 running backs and a brand new quarterback, and lots of questions. And we kicked their little gopher booties. And it was wonderful. And now today, the Wolverines take on the pathetic Spartans of Michigan State, and it's going to be a bloodbath. And I'm going to enjoy every second of it. So I'm excited. I've got my shirt on, my hat on, ready to cheer them on to a victory today. So I'm excited. It was weird with college football starting and the Big Ten not like being like 5 weeks later. It's like, okay, I guess I'll watch some ACC games. No thanks. Like I don't want to watch Sun Belt games either. So it was kind of weird watching like other people have their teams playing, and then I still got to enjoy it, but there's nothing quite like watching your favorite team play. So that's what's delighting me right now is the fact that I get to watch the Wolverines.
So I'm really excited. This last week on Monday, an app that I really love got an update. Logos 9 was announced and oddly released right away. The only thing that they're holding back right now is they usually have a free version of the engine that they'll put out so that you don't have to upgrade to a package to use the base engine. But a lot of the features you still have to purchase in a package. So whether or not, I'm not sure what exactly is going to be available in the free version of the base software, but they did release it for purchase this last week, and I'm waiting until I get some stuff paid off before I upgrade. But there's some cool stuff that they added to Logos. First off, finally they're bringing dark mode to the desktop experience. So I'm excited about that because I use dark mode a lot on my Mac just because it's a lot easier on the eyes. As if you're spending a lot of time staring at the screen, it just feels more comfortable to me. And then they have a new sermon manager in here, which doesn't really affect me a whole lot, but I really like the concept of it. It's really being able to map out all your sermons for the year. And there's a couple of different views on it. And, if you're going through, they showed in the video that if you go through and you're scheduling your sermons for the year and all of a sudden you realize, oh, shoot, there's Easter. We don't necessarily want to be doing the sermon series through Easter, so let's take a week off and move things around. And it looks like a really cool way for pastors to plan out all their sermons and stuff like that. So I think that's neat. They're calling that Sermon Manager. There's a new counseling guide, which I think could be useful. That you open up the counseling guide, you type in whatever the subject is that maybe you're dealing with in a counseling session. Maybe it's anxiety or the idea of love, or something like that, suicide, depression. They have those things listed on the website here. It will bring up a bunch of scripture that is pertinent to these particular issues that you can use in your counseling. So I think one thing that is sorely lacking in our churches right now is biblical counseling. And so this is a really cool tool to enable biblical counselors to find what they need quickly and easily to be able to work with their counseling sessions. So, and there's upgrades to some stuff that they have in Logos, stuff like upgraded ways of looking at your libraries. I'm not going to go through all the features specifically, but the commentary section has been updated. The passage guide, the Bible Books Explorer has been updated. There is a new preaching mode for the iPad app that allows you to take your sermon notes and link them up with any slides that you might be running or anything like that. It's just a really cool little sermon. Basically, your ability to use all your notes that you've made in Logos during your preaching. And also it looks like there's a timer on in the app as well to help keep you on time, stuff like that. So that could be a really cool tool for a lot of pastors and stuff like that. So Community Docs has gotten an upgrade. A few I don't know if it was Logos 8 or Logos 7 where they added community notes, where you can note things in your biblical text and then share those notes. I haven't seen it used a whole lot. I do have it turned on in Logos, and I haven't seen a lot of those notes, but every so often you'll come across just a little green icon that will be sitting above the text, and if you tap on it or if you click on it, it'll pop up a little window showing you a note that somebody made about that text. So interesting. It's easy to turn off if it's something that becomes an issue or becomes a distraction, but it's kind of an interesting feature. Reading plans has gotten an upgrade. I'm not going to speak too much about that because my wife and I use the reading plans a lot, and I'm not sure if it was if you were able to use those with any book in your library before, or if it was just Bible books. I think you might have been able to use it in any book in your library, but it looks like they've gotten a facelift in the mobile app at least. So for those reading plans, so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. But they say on the website here that you can organize and schedule your reading in seconds. So, but I can follow up on that a little bit as I use it more. But yeah, those are the main tentpole features for the new Logos 9, which I'm super excited about because I love it when they get a good upgrade that offers some new tools and stuff like that. So very cool. And I'm going to add a link to that to the show notes. So if anybody's interested in following up on that, they can take a look. Cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty sweet.
It
looks good.
I could totally, if I was a pastor, I would be using the snot out of Logos 9 for a lot of the features that they added. So, but I do not have that gift. So
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference about Logos between like the desktop software and the like the iPad or phone software, like you can use the iPad and the phone obviously with a free account, but then if you purchase one of the platinum, gold, or silver packages, do those added features then show up on the mobile apps.
Yes. All the resources that you purchase, not all the features
cross device.
Yeah, there's some features that are desktop only. But a lot of the features do carry over. One feature I wish I could use on the iPad that is not available yet is the canvas. Basically, it allows you to freeform build like infographics and stuff like that out of text. And I love using that feature on my Mac, but they don't have it on the iPad. And it seems like it would be a natural for the iPad to be able to manipulate stuff on the screen and be able to draw in stuff and all that. But to my knowledge, that is not available on the iPad yet. Cool.
Interesting. Well, I'll take more of a look at this after we're done recording, because
it's a lot. I'll be honest, Logos is a lot of money. When you're talking about anywhere from a couple $100 on up to thousands of dollars, and a lot of that cost is coming from the extensive amount of resources that they offer with things, because you're buying books at little pennies on the dollar to what it would cost you to buy them individually. So, that's part of their pitch for these packages. So, being somebody that doesn't do a lot or doesn't do any preaching, but uses it for my Bible study, I don't typically purchase the large resource packages, but you can upgrade the features separately. So for me to upgrade the features for Logos 9, it's going to probably cost me a couple $100 to get all the features. But that's also including a lot of infographics and a lot of resources that have been developed specifically for the new features. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's expensive, but to me, it's super worth it, because when you have that issue where you're like, you know what, I need to look at this and I need to dig into this particular text to better understand this. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have like 3 or 4 commentaries that I can take a look at. Or, I can look at the Greek on this, and it helps me to understand this passage just a little bit better. It suddenly, those resources, mean everything. One thing that I really love that I haven't used a whole lot recently is they added a workflow feature, which was the reason that I upgraded to the full feature set for Logos 8, is that I was able to go in and actually edit together my own workflow for going through and looking at passages. So what it actually does, the workflow feature will start you. It'll say, okay, here, read this text. Now read it multiple times. Now read it in these different versions. And it gives you links to everything all the resources that you need to go to for those different steps. And so maybe it'll say, okay, now look at it. Look at the Greek here. Find some keywords. Here's the most interesting words in this passage. Here's links to the Greek definitions. And then it'll actually just walk you step by step through a study process. And I created one. I don't know if you're familiar with the SOAP method of studying, the scripture, observation, application, and prayer. But I put together a SOAP-like workflow that I use from time to time to go through a text that really helps me dig into, okay, in observation, what's happening here? Who is talking? Who are they talking to? What should I know about these people that are the audience of this book? That might help me understand why, Paul says this, to this group. That can be really, really helpful when you think about like Ephesians. What's going on in Ephesus at the time that Paul is, I wanted to say emailing them, sending them a letter about the issues in the church at Ephesus and the issues that they're dealing with. What's important? What's going on here that you need to know about? And so like going through these workflows kind of can help to frame your understanding of the text. So it's a really, Logos is a super powerful tool. It takes some time to learn. And, when we were going through our hermeneutics class at the church, it really took me a long time because there's so many ways to get to the different information that you might want to look at to really kind of get a workflow down, and not the workflow feature, but be able to get kind of a process down to look at the scripture and figure out, okay, if I want to look at the Greek, how do I get there? And that isn't always the easiest thing. So it does take some time to learn some of the features and how to use them. But once you learn, it's like, oh yeah, you just do this, and oh, wow, that's interesting. Or maybe it didn't really make any difference at all. So yeah, I find it to be a very powerful tool.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, anything else on your mind? Anything else infecting your inner monologue this last couple of weeks?
Yeah, nothing pertinent. There's always stuff bouncing around in my head, but.
So I finally, and this actually plays into my conversation about Logos a little bit, but back in January, I funded a Kickstarter. Actually, it's an Indiegogo for a book scanner. I don't know if I've talked to you about this or not. But guess what showed up here about a week ago? My book scanner. So this is the Caesar Shine Ultra book scanner. It's got the OCR built into it, or built into the software. So it will actually, once you get done at scanning in a book or an article or some papers or anything like that, it does OCR on the text right away and gives you editable text out the back end there, so that you can go in and actually Logos has a feature where you can import personal books. So all you need to do is save the document as a docx format document, and then you can import that into Logos, and it will automatically convert all of the Bible references in the text to hyperlinks to that that text in your whatever Bible you're using in Logos. But then you can also go in and use syntax to set your page numbers in there and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of customizability you can do with syntax that Logos provides for you for the personal books. But no, it's pretty cool. I really like the ability to do that and do it quickly, because that's really the promise of this device, is that I grabbed a book off my shelf that was 200 pages and went through and scanned that whole book in probably 5 to 10 minutes. So it was really quick.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So it was really nice and really quick. So, all right. Well, if you've got nothing else, I've got nothing else.
All right. Then I suppose we have nothing else.
We have nothing else. All right. Well, check us out at innerdialogue.show if you have any questions about us, or you want to take a look at our back catalog. Also, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and a whole host of other apps and stuff like that you might be using for your podcasts. Just throw us in there, and you'll get the new episodes as they come out. We do record every 2 weeks, and my goal is always to have those episodes available for you about 5 o'clock on Sunday evenings. So if we're ever a little bit late, it is what it is. And I noticed an issue with Apple Podcasts that they've been releasing them on Tuesdays, which I find odd. That happened this last week, where it took a couple of days before it actually released on Apple Podcasts. So hopefully that's just a glitch, and whatever. If you have questions, comments, anything that you want to let us know about, you can find Cam and I both on Twitter. I'm at Mitch Craig.
And I'm at Cam Brennan.
All right. I always like it when you say your own. It makes me
I'm
feel
at Jar
nice.
Jar, right?
Yeah. All right. I think we're done with the show today.
Yep.
I would have brought up The Mandalorian as something that I was excited about because the new episode dropped yesterday for season 2, episode 1, but I haven't watched it yet. So I am super excited about it though. My wife made or is making a Star Wars themed dinner tonight with a dessert.
So you're having blue milk?
You know what? That actually was not in the cookbook that we got. There's a cookbook for the
What an oversight.
Right. There's a cookbook available for the Galaxy's Edge theme park, the Black Spire Outpost or something like that they have there. They released a cookbook with all the food that they make there. And so my wife has been playing with a bunch of the recipes from that book. And so she made like a Mandalorian stew for dinner, or she's making a Mandalorian stew for dinner tonight. And then there was something called an udge cake that for dessert tonight that came out of that. It actually looks really good. It sounds weird, but it looks really tasty. Yeah. So I'll let you know. I'll send you pictures. So and then you can be really hungry and wish you were over here. So, but we're gonna have that and watch The Mandalorian tonight. So, be fun. All right. Well, my parents just showed up, so I'm gonna go spend time with my folks, and we'll see you guys back here next time.
Au revoir, mes amis.